I think if you're speaking, Dr. Panda, you're muted.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So I was telling that one of the main objectives also of the InfiniBand project is to train the next generation students and staff. Since this project has been running for 19 years, not only from our group, we have trained a lot of people, but in the earlier mod, we also invite a lot of students from US PhD granting institutions to come through an NSF student travel grant. This year we couldn't do. So we always try to also include a short program talking about the issues related to how to develop human resources. So in this context, it's a pleasure to invite Professor Alan Sussman from National Science Foundation to give us a short presentation. So Professor Sussman is currently a program director in the Office of Advanced Cyberinfrastructure at NSF, in charge of learning and workforce development, and is also active in software and data related cyber infrastructure programs. He is on leave from his permanent position as a computer science professor at the University of Maryland. His research interests are focused on system software support for large scale applications that require high performance parallel and distributed computing. In addition, since 2010, he has been helping coordinate a curriculum initiative in parallel and distributed computing with the premise that every undergraduate student in computer science or computer engineering must acquire basic parallel computing skills. Some of you must have heard of this, especially in the, this started with the IPDPS kind of a community, but it has grown over the years. This curriculum has had wide adoption, including the direct impact on the ACM's CS 2013 curriculum. So let's welcome Professor Alan Sussman, and he will be talking about cyber infrastructure research, learning, and workforce development.
Thanks, DK. Let me see if I can share my screen. Always a good time.
Yes, please share your screen and get started. And
so can everybody see my slides?
yes, looks good.
Excellent. Okay, so this is a very similar talk to the one I gave last year, but updated for new things. So I'm going to talk about, I'm in the Office of Advanced Cyberinfrastructure, which is part of the Computer Information Science and Engineering Directorate. Just a little history, sort of put things in perspective. So OAC is part of CISE, which CISE I think is on the order of $1 billion a year budget. These numbers are from 2018, just because I couldn't find more recent ones. But in 2018, fiscal year 2018, OAC spent about $224 million. Of that, a significant amount on hardware, right, big supercomputing systems. But we also received on the order of 950 proposals total, and made over 300 awards. So it's not just big systems, clearly, right? There's more stuff going on, and learning and workforce development is a big part of that, right? This talks about all the different kinds of research and hardware systems that are involved, right? So OAC funds XSEED, it funds lots of research and now there's cloud computing services. But then the part that I'm going to talk about mostly is this people, organizations, and communities part, because that's the part that I'm responsible for. So OAC, there's sort of three different kinds of communities that we're targeting in terms of people. CI contributors, right? Scientists, cyber scientists, that's computational scientists, people doing, we call it domain, us computer scientists call it domain sciences, right? And then there's, no, I'm sorry. So cyber scientists really is talking about people like DK and his group that are developing infrastructure, right? That other people are going to use systems software. Then there's the users, which are the domain area scientists to exploit new capabilities, right? They're exploiting all the software and hardware that computer scientists and others are developing. And then there's the professional staff, called CI professionals, which a lot of people don't think about as much, to deploy and support all these new capabilities. That it can include research software engineers, research facilitators, system administrators, all sorts of people like that. And those are all targets for programs within OAC and within NSF in general. So I want to talk about several different programs. I won't spend too much time on the student research training, but that's things like REU sites. And actually the deadline for that is today. If anybody was thinking about proposing, it's probably too late for this year. A lot of those went virtual for this summer, but they've still been going on this past summer. I will talk about a couple of programs for early career faculty and researchers, not just tenure track faculty, but also other researchers. And those are the CRII and career programs. Another program that's near and dear to my heart because it funded a lot of the curriculum development work that we did for parallel distributed computing curriculum is the Cybertraining program, which I'll talk about a little more. And that's for training and workforce development. And then something that a lot of people don't even know about is OAC as part of CISE's Core Research Program solicitation. There's a new solicitation for CISE Core Research, which OAC is a part of. The rest of CISE has gone to no deadlines for the Core Research Program, but OAC, because we don't get as many proposals as the other division, has stuck with a deadline, which is in November. I'll talk a little about that program. So this is really bad. The controls are blocking my slide, part of my slide. Anyway, so what are we doing? We're talking about advancing cyber infrastructure research to impact future capabilities of research cyber infrastructure, right? Whenever I see CI, that's cyber infrastructure. That's our keyword, right, within the office. So that's knowledge in design, development, utilization of robust research cyber infrastructure. We're also very interested in career paths for cyber scientists, engineers, cyber professionals. And that means not just computer scientists, that's computational scientists, that's data scientists, all sorts of data, computational and data-driven science and engineering with advanced cyber infrastructure research thrusts. So what kinds of research do we support through the core program? So OAC is a little different. It's not just basic research, which is NSF's core mission. That's NSF's real basic mission, but we also support translational research, which talks about design, development, deployment, experimentation, application of advanced research cyber infrastructures. That means both cyber infrastructure for research and research on cyber infrastructure, right? Advanced cyber infrastructure. And that means when we talk about translational, that can span all the way from design to practice. We do fund things that are more practical, perhaps, than some other divisions within CISE and within NSF. So other characteristics you'll see of the OAC core research proposals are that there can be multidisciplinary, extreme scale. Obviously, we're interested in HPC things. We're driven by science and engineering research, deployable as robust research cyber infrastructure. A little about the research areas, talk about architecture and middleware for extreme scale systems. That can include design and benchmarking analysis, storage, networks, IO, resource management, monitoring, fault tolerance. You can all read all of these things. It does even include cybersecurity as it relates to cyber infrastructure. Scalable algorithms and applications, mostly numerical and high performance scientific computing, data software and visualization. We're seeing a lot more related to doing machine learning, both for science and for also research on machine learning algorithms, how to make those faster. We're seeing a lot of proposals in those areas too. For the advanced cyber infrastructure ecosystem, so the broader picture, we see proposals from programming related to programming languages, libraries, tools, environments, and sometimes we even see things related to socio-technical aspects, looking at user studies of various sorts. So that's it for the core research program. So I don't have much time, so I'll go quickly through these. The next is, right, I already talked about the deadline for the core research program. So the next program I'll talk about is the early career program, faculty early career program. That's the solicitation number. This is an award supports junior faculty as teachers and scholars, right? So looking for outstanding research, education, and very important for career proposals, the integration of the education and research plans. There's also, we do nominate every year or whenever the White House decides to request it, nominees for the Presidential Early Career Awards. which is across all government agencies, not just NSF. And we had 4 of those from OAC last year out of 20 total from NSF, and then a bunch more from other agencies. So that was pretty good for us because we're much smaller than the other divisions. We've been receiving a significant number of submissions, although nowhere near as many as the other divisions, on a broad variety of topics. I encourage people to send me, descriptions of their work to see if it fits within OAC. We have maybe on the order of 30 active awards. The previous deadline was in earlier this month, which was delayed. It's typically in July. The next one should be in July 2021. And there's all sorts of rules about the career program you can see on the solicitation page, because that's an NSF-wide solicitation. It is open to non-tenure track faculty, as long as they have significant teaching responsibilities also. There's some other things that have changed. Typical budgets for those are on the order of $500,000 in size for 5 years, in that ballpark. There's no upper limit, but that's the typical range. And then we do see proposals that are either of primary interest to OAC or sometimes secondary interest, where you can actually pick more than one program. And there's some links here. These slides will be made available. There's some links here to Dear Colleague letter. There's a program page for the program that's linked here. That's this pointer here. And then every year, NSF sponsors a career proposal writing workshop for all sorts of tips about how to write good career proposals. And these are the links to the last several. The last one, this past spring, typically 3 months in advance of the solicitation deadline or a little more, was actually made virtual, which limited the types of activities, but we still had individual meetings between PIs, between faculty members and program officers to discuss the suitability of their research for different areas within CISE, within OAC. So that's something that we strongly encourage, especially people who are new to writing career proposals, to attend in the spring. It's just a couple of examples of people with the types. This is one example. This is a data stream. This is a computer scientist who got a proposal funded a few years ago. And here's another example of a computational scientist doing space physics. And this was co-funded by multiple divisions, but OAC was the primary. He's now at Clarkson University. He actually got he was one of our PCASE awardees this past a year ago. Another program that is not as well recognized, is not as well known as the career, is a CISE program called the Career Research Initiative, and that's CRII. And this is a research program for faculty or research scientists within their first 3 years. Since it has to be the first grant you receive as a PI, that means that you can't do it if you already have a career. So it has to be your first grant. You get 2 chances. You have to get certified with that you have lack essential resources. So it really depends on where you are, what kind of institution you're at, what kind of startup package you get, whether or not you're eligible, since this is really targeting people who don't have the resources to get their research career started. But you can be a tenure track faculty or research science, research scientist, or even a lecturer that does research. So you can be in an education position as long as you're doing research. And in our case, it would be cyber infrastructure related research. Again, same types of research focus as for the career or the core research. We do fund, again, you saw computational and data intensive scientists in addition to computer scientists. Those awards are maxed out at $175K for 2 years. The next deadline is in November. This is a new solicitation. And so typically these are due in August, but because of delay in the solicitation coming out, the deadline this year is in early November. Very close to when the core research program deadline is. So the goal of this is really to get a research program and a career started. So that means we're not expecting people to have a lot of research results or maturity. These typically people who've only been out at most a year or two. Start a path toward research independence, undertake exploratory investigations, all that. And we're really looking to broaden the community of researchers and reaching underserved subcommunities, underrepresented groups, and non-traditional institutions. I don't know how many people are in the audience there today, but I'm happy to talk with anybody about these types of things more. The last program I wanted to talk about is the Cybertraining program. So training for advanced research and advanced cyber infrastructure. And this is really targeting research workforce preparation for broader adoption of tools, methods. It's also for curriculum and curriculum materials development and integration. So this is rather different. This is not like the core research program. This is not even like the other programs. This is really about training the workforce, right? And also for curriculum development. So this is really all about people, right? It has the same three communities of concern that I talked about earlier, and then I guess my second slide or third slide. There are three classes of projects. There are 2-year projects with up to 300K, we call those pilots, and then there are 2 types of implementation projects that are broadly accessible to a larger community. There are small ones that are up to 500K for up to 4 years, and medium ones also up to 4 years, but those need a broader community to actually have as an audience. Up to $1 million. And then there are these large scale project conceptualizations that are planning grants, of which there are only a couple of those so far. Those are different. And again, you talk to me if you're interested in anything like that. The nice thing about this program is, yes, OAC is leading it, but there's participation by pretty much all the directorates and many of the divisions within each directorate. You can see the list here. That covers pretty much all of NSF. OAC is the lead. But there's, again, because we're talking about training in computer and computational science techniques and tools, cyber infrastructure tools and techniques, this has broad interest across the whole foundation. So we've been doing on the order of 10 to 12 awards per year. You can go and look, if you do a search on the NSF award site, you can see what's been awarded. But the last several years, we've been doing 10 to 12 awards per year of different sizes. The next deadline for that is in January. I'll finish up with just one additional slide. There are several other opportunities for learning and workforce development programs. There's the intern DCL. This is for non-academic graduate student research in industry or labs. These are supplements to existing grants. So if you have an NSF grant, you can apply for these. OAC is the only division within CISE that actually supports these. Then there are the eagers. Again, I'm not going to get into the details, but we also support workshops and research coordination networks to seed exploration of research, training, and education. The workshops and student activities are for students, postdocs, faculty, and professionals to create workshops, send students to workshops. We also do student travel grants, like what DK was talking about for this workshop in previous years. If you want to find out about opportunities, this is the mailing list. If you're not subscribed to the mailing list, this is how you would subscribe to our mailing list, which comes out periodically with information about what's going on within the office, opportunities, sometimes requests for reviewers and things like that, but very low traffic. So I encourage people to sign up for it. With that, I will stop.
Okay, so Alan, thanks a lot. Are there any questions?
I scared everybody away.